What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and CreateSpace. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Constitutional Discrimination. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? You know, with the political atmosphere, and to me, that's just America, to be perfectly honest. But I think what it all boils down to, I was looking at a Thurgood Marshall movie clip with Chadwick Boseman playing Thurgood Marshall, and he's like, you know, these laws weren't written for us, but we're going to have to use them to our advantage, right? And I think when it comes to us in this country, that's basically how it looks like we work under the Constitution. The laws in the Constitution are the laws of America, and that's how people work at us with the laws of America. And what I mean by that is, you can pick any part of the Constitution. You know, first the freedom of speech, freedom to protest. Well, when we speak, it's a problem. When we protest, it's a problem. It really doesn't matter what we say or what we do. It's just, you know, under the Constitution, our freedom of speech and freedom of protest is not really looked at as the same as the people that the Constitution was written for. You know, the freedom to bear arms, right? Everybody can, you know, the history has panned that out, where other people can bear arms against tyranny and fight for justice and fight against injustice, and, well, you know, don't tread on me, but let you look like me and you walk around, don't tread on me. And, you know, now, you know, it's an insurrection. It's treasonous to the country, right? It's the same constitutional right, but somebody else uses it. Nah. Sometimes when you say freedom of the press, that's a different one, you know, because depends on what the press looks like and what they're talking about. You know, sometimes, and that part is translated into the political aspect, where it's more identity politics. Or, oh, that's leftist politics and we should ignore that. And that's conservative politics, we should ignore that. That's alt-right, and that's, you know, supersized liberal now, you know, and that's anarchist, and that's Tea Party, and I ain't got time for all that. So, you know, your constitutional rights don't necessarily apply. And going back for a second, even when it comes to the protest and all that other stuff, you know, think about it. When we want to protest the flag, that's our right. If you want to protest the flag, you got to find a different way to do it. Here's the problem with that. The only people that are usually, I'm certain about, that can't protest the flag are the military. They waive their right when they join the military. Civilians, no, that doesn't go that way. Now, moving forward, you know, you have the right to remain silent, right? Fifth Amendment, right? Fifth. But if you're a person that look like me, if you know, exercise your right to remain silent, why aren't you speaking? Something must be wrong. He must have done it. He must be guilty. He needs to say everything and spill the whole beans. Why? I mean, if it's my right to be quiet, and if I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk. I ain't got nothing to say. Right? Because you could say, well, that's for people who incriminate themselves. Yeah, but in our case, a person can tell the truth and it exonerate them, and you find a reason to make them guilty on the truth that exonerates them. So, Fifth Amendment, I'm going to say nothing. But people act like there's a problem with that. Because at the end of the day, what winds up happening is that was an amendment for somebody else. Other people cannot speak. The right to vote. You see how that one worked out, right? They had to revise that sucker to the point where you have that was a right for everybody else, but not for us. Even it got to the 13th Amendment, right? Whew. That changed, that changed slavery and made it only reasonable by excuse me, I'm stuttering. Incarceration. So what happened? You can't be, you can't be considered a slave unless you're incarcerated. So once slavery ended, that's when you started just mass incarcerating people because they couldn't live a life. They couldn't have a life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness on a regular day basis because you criminalized them being human beings so you can enslave them. But that's why I said it can be constitutional discrimination. The Fourth Amendment, the right of a person to basically protect their house and papers and property. See, that's one of those amendments that didn't work for us either. Let you defend your home and property, watch they burn it down. I mean, that's part of, the Rosewood, California, to the colony that was in Central Park at first. The city I live in right now in Houston was owned by 3 black families, and they had to run them out of town, right? To get that land, right? You can't defend that, right? I think I said the Black Wall Street. Pretty much most black communities. I spoke about my family having property in Louisiana that they got them ran out of town to tried to kill people for so they can get, right? See, the fact that we can't fight for our own property that we quote unquote work for and own, that's constitutional discrimination. The Sixth Amendment, right to have a speedy trial. You've seen this numerous times, but now it's different when somebody accused of a crime keeps putting it off, to try to build their case. But what we're seeing is law enforcement and the government put people in prison, keep them in prison for extended periods of time with no trial and no speedy, so no trial at all for years, and take their freedom away. But we don't see that with other groups. That's just what it is. Excessive bail. Do we need to talk about that? No. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That's the Ninth Amendment. All right? Think about that. But 10th Amendment, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Only problem with that with us is they flip-flop those when it's convenient. Like I said, man, we could talk about a lot of different things when it comes to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights itself. Like, we just gotta stop lying. That's my thing. Just stop lying. The Seventh Amendment, like the rights of civil cases, right? We're not getting paid out on these civil cases, really. You know. 11th, lawsuits against states. Got our 40 acres in the mule yet? Nope. Presidential election, skip that. You had to get to the 13th to abolish slavery. I talked about that with the jail things. 14th, civil rights. Like, wow. 15th, black suffrage. How's that worked out yet? You know. 16th, income taxes, which is always an interesting one. You know. 18th, you know, prohibiting liquor. And the 19th Amendment, which is interesting because you would think the 19th Amendment is women's suffrage. You would think since black suffrage was the 15th Amendment, which means it started first, you know, it was before 19, right? That black people will be further along than women in this country, per se. How does that work out? It hasn't. You know, terms in office, you know, we get that one. The repeal of prohibition. That's why we got liquor stores in our community, everybody. But let's not get it twisted. Suburban communities have way more liquor stores. Well, I'm gonna say they have a bit bigger, better liquor stores. Abolition of the poll taxes is the 24th Amendment. Washington D.C. suffrage, 23rd Amendment. I might get into that in a second. 18-year-old suffrage was the 26th. Congressional pay raises. Think about this. Congressional pay raises had to be an amendment, right? But ironically, people get mad when with a minimum wage raise. You know, that's crazy to me. But that's the truth. You know, that's just the truth at the end of the day. The reason, the income tax thing, that's like rich people can get away with getting around income taxes. Corporations can, but regular people can't. You know, that's why I said 15th, that's why I skipped that one, because that's the right of citizens. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Yeah, but we see how that's played out. You know, oh, but people don't deny you voting. That's pretty much what the Acorn shit was about, and repealing the Voter Right Act. I mean, can't say that. You know, that's pretty much what the 19th Amendment is. It just with sex. I want to talk about the poll tax. I don't really care about that. Well, I care, but I mean, it's one of those things. But I want to get to 18-year-olds. No, 27. I'm sorry. No law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. Yeah, whatever. So basically, everybody in this country is benefiting off of the Constitution. The people who benefit off of the Constitution don't see the hypocrisy of the Constitution itself discriminated against other people. Because you can't say that this is a law for everybody, but when it applies to somebody that doesn't look like you, it's not a law anymore. It's not in the Constitution. Me personally, I'm like, you're trying to tell me this country is so savage that you have to put rules out on a piece of paper for people to follow hundreds of years later. I'm just saying. So, I'm going to leave it right there for the moment. Tell me what you think. We out.